Hi, everybody. Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. Today, I've got Imran Ashed, and we're going to be talking about the 5 things to turn your passion into a business. So before we get any start, can you tell people where they can find you on social?
Sure. I'm on Instagram, so imran.evolve on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. It's a company channel, which is Evolve Automotive. And I'm also on LinkedIn under Imran Ashed.
So you're actually a trained lawyer, or you went to train as a lawyer?
Yeah, so I did a law degree, and then I went to work in sales and PR for a couple of years. And I went back to do my postgraduate legal practice course about 4 years after my law degree. So I did the LPC, then I went to work for the legal regulator, the Law Society. Right. And I was there for 3 years before I left that and started my first business.
And so this is about talking about how you turned what in effect was a side hustle into what you do every day.
Correct. Yeah. So while I was in my last paid employment, I was always into modifying cars, and I had at the time BMW Z3M Coupe, which was quite a rare car, and I wasn't satisfied with any of the products that were in the marketplace because I found that whatever claims they were making, they were never substantiated. I was always very curious, so I would get the parts that said they would improve in performance and go and actually test them, and found that none of them lived up to their claims. Yeah. So I started working with a few of the companies to develop products, and I got my car to a stage where it started to work really well. And when I was going to races, I was beating lots of other people, and customers with these cars would come up to me and say, look, your car is really good. Can you do the same for me? And I was like, yeah, it's not my thing, but I can try and arrange it for you. So I had a friend who was a mechanic who could fit all the parts. So I would literally take the car off the customer, give it to my friend, and act as a middleman, essentially, provide all the parts and then do the work and then give it back to them. And my intention was never to like make it a business, but I thought I can make something out of this and I really enjoy it. So a year into doing that, I basically left my full-time job and just went into it head first.
And that was quite a scary time for you because you were going from a process of, you were buying a house, you got married, you'd had your first child. So you went from no responsibilities to loads of responsibilities, and you decided to basically quit your job.
Yeah, it was a very, very difficult time. So me and my wife both had reasonable amount of income. We're both working. We had no children. We were literally going on holidays and doing whatever we wanted. And then it switched from that to buying our first house, having our first child, and my wife not working anymore. So she's not actually returned back to work since our first child, but she's come back to help me in the business. So yeah, it was very, very tough because we literally went from being able to almost do whatever we wanted to then having a budget, even down to like what our weekly shop would be.
Yeah. And but the thing is that you'd found something that you were passionate about, and in a way you were following your passion.
Yeah, so it was at that. I think that was the only time I could have done it, and I did have a lot of support from my parents in terms of my dad saying, "Look, this is the only time you can actually go and do this. Once like you've got another kid or whatever, you're not going to be able to fall back on anything. So if you want to go for it, this is the time." So I've got to give a lot of credit for them to not allowing me, but giving me that kind of support. So you know what, just go.
And having parental support, I think, in anything is. I know we don't necessarily need it, but actually having your parents are saying yes, go and do it is a tick in the box.
Of course, and at that time, if you're like training to be a lawyer, or law degree, you've been to university, and you've spent all that time studying, to then go and leave and do what people think is like to become a mechanic, which I never was. It's quite funny because people never understood the decision. Now they look at it and say, "Wow, you were really brave at that point, and then you've done really well for yourself." But at that time, a decision is quite difficult. But yeah, and having parents' kind of blessing is important, I think. And my parents, my dad's a professional as well, so he's got an electrical engineer, and he's like been through the whole process of like graduating and then being with the same company since until he retired. So from coming from that background and then going to do a business which no one in my family had ever done before. Everyone's like an engineer, accountant, or doctor, or they're all professionals, and no one had a business. So I had to learn everything the hard way.
Yeah. But you've basically set out a formula of things that you've done, which you put down to your success. And you said that you've actually used those now and replicated that in a number of instances, and it's worked for you.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so at the time you're starting, you don't have any marketing budget, you don't have a lot of money to spend on ads and things like that. So you have to get really creative about how you're going to put your products or the products you're selling into the marketplace. Now we're talking about 14 years ago, and this was before there was anything like social media. So in our industry, there was things called car forums where enthusiasts would go online, talk about their cars and talk about what they were going to do with them. And we were very active on those from a personal perspective. And like when I was looking at it, I thought, well, this is a really easy way to sell products to like-minded people. So we would go and talk about the products and demonstrate what they would do. And it wasn't even selling directly. We would just literally put information up, and then people would be interested in that and start engaging with that information. And then they would ultimately become customers. So we were social selling like 14 years ago without knowing what it was. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. I've had a couple of M3s. And I've been on discussion groups. And I've been on discussion groups with those, and people do go into a lot of detail in terms of chassis numbers and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's cars or anything. If people are particularly passionate about it, they will remember the detail and want to know the and drill down on that detail.
That's correct. Yeah. So yeah, it was engaging. It was being part of the community at that time. You would be able to be part of the community, and people saw you as that rather than you were actively selling to them all the time. You were accepted in that community, and then it was very easy then to provide products and services to these people, and that's how we grew that business initially. And in terms of like how we've replicated that, we've had to evolve that social selling part as time has gone on, because forums start to fade away. I think Facebook was the first one that came in, so then we were very active on Facebook.
Yeah.
When engagement was really good and you didn't have to pay for it. And then after that, I think it was Instagram. And then after Instagram came YouTube. So we've basically migrated from each platform, but it's remained on each one to a certain level, depending on how effective it was.
So in terms of, you started off on the forums. Fast forward today, in terms of the people that are watching, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram are your three main areas.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, Facebook, we still don't pay for ads on Facebook, so that's probably gone down a little bit. But I would say YouTube and Instagram for sure are the main ones. One of the brands that we launched in 2014, that was effectively built just on Instagram. That's where we got our foothold, and then it's just spread everywhere. Right. From there, Instagram has been instrumental in what we've done, and YouTube now. I think we were a bit late. We started our YouTube channel 2 years ago. Okay. We're putting out 2 videos a week now, which are mainly informational, and that's been absolutely amazing. Not just in terms of social selling, but in terms of the collaborations that it's allowed.
Right.
Because other people take notice of what you're doing, and then they want to work with you.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And so in terms of the I certainly think that YouTube is something that you should be certainly looking at, and Instagram is just immense. I think from in terms of the social element, especially for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So YouTube is it's a global thing. So everything for us, even though we're a UK based company, if I look at my analytics for Instagram and YouTube, it's actually a higher percentage of audience from the USA, which just happens to be our biggest market. So it kind of it ties in really well.
Okay. So you look at social, and you also talk about in terms of things that you do, what we call today influencer marketing.
Yes.
But back 14 years ago, it wouldn't have been called influencer marketing.
Yeah. So
describe what it is that you do, Imran.
Okay, so back in those days when influencer marketing wasn't a thing, we were doing it again without knowing what it was. So on the forums, there would be people who were influential. So, they had a good car, they would spend money on it, they would go to track days, and people respected their opinion. So I identified that quite early and started to form relationships with these people. And when there was a new product coming out, I'd say, look, guys, you want to try this product out? Let us know what it's like. And they would take the product and then essentially do an online review on the forum. And then because people already respected their opinion, they'd say, well, if this guy's saying it's good, it must be good. And then they would buy the product. And we helped a lot of other companies at that time, because we didn't have our own products, launch their products into the marketplace because we had very good connections. Right. And after a while, it kind of pissed me off, because I was taking somebody else's product, putting it into the marketplace, and then losing out on all the sales because somebody would just come in and sell it at cost plus 5%, rather than trying to make a margin. And it was at that point we said, okay, well, we're going to start making our own product, so we've got complete control of the margin that we're making on it. We're doing all the hard work getting it into the marketplace. Let's take all the benefit. And that's when we started to make our own branded products. So we had complete control of everything. Right.
And you do, in terms of, you collaborate with all kinds, because I've seen you on LinkedIn in terms of talking to Chris at BMW or Park Lane.
Yeah.
And so there's a kind of an ebb and a flow going on in terms of who has the influence and who is the influencer.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So it worked quite well. So LinkedIn, I only started using maybe 6 months ago. So I've had an account for ages, but I never used it. And one of my friends, I can't remember who it is, I'll have to thank them at some point, said to me, well, Imran, you're really good on social, you need to be on LinkedIn. And I was like, well, that's like a professional network. What am I going to get out of it? And I thought, okay, well, all I did was the content I was putting on YouTube, I was linking it on there to try and get more views. And then I started to repurpose the content I had on Instagram for LinkedIn. So on Instagram, where it's more like kind of casual, I would turn it into more of a business type post. So talk about either PR or marketing or influencer marketing. So I'd repurpose the content for LinkedIn. And then I started to get a lot of traction on LinkedIn. And Chris, actually, to give him his props, he is the one who contacted me and noticed that all of our cars were coming from a certain BMW dealer group, which wasn't his. And said, why are your cars all coming from this group? Have you got like a relationship with them? I said, I don't really have a relationship. They just give me good pricing and I kind of buy the cars from them. And he said, look, come in and have a chat. Maybe we can do something together, apart from just you getting cars at a good rate. And it's worked really well, because I get something from them in terms of getting good discounts off the cars that we do. And they get good PR from me when I go and review the cars. And I've actually made videos that go on their YouTube channel and our YouTube channel. So it's a really good collaboration. And I think he's the first person in that kind of position at a BMW dealer to talk to a tuning company, as it were, because we're kind of normally at odds with each other, right? Because we do things to their cars that people, that the manufacturer might not want us to do. But I think it works really well, because I have a lot of respect in the BMW market. At the end of the day, my customers still have to buy a car.
Yes.
From somewhere. So that's working really well. And that's one of the collaborations that's come out from LinkedIn that's worked really well for us.
Right. And I think that, Chris, so Chris Learmonth is the managing director at BMW Park Lane, for people that don't know. He's very active on social. And I think he understands that while BMW or brand in Munich may not necessarily see car tuners as being a target market, Chris knows who's buying the cars.
Correct.
From the BMW dealer.
Yeah.
And he knows if he's going to sell an M4 off the forecourt, there'll be a particular type of person that will do that.
Yeah.
And they probably know who you are. And again, would see him, in effect, you're an influencer yourself.
Yes.
He probably makes sales himself. Well, he does, because I know he does, because he's told me. Makes sales himself from you being the influencer, because, and it's just interesting how the influence and that weaves, and you can get that to weave.
Yeah, and it works really well, because obviously I understand it from the other point of view, because I have to deal with a lot of influencers, because I'm the one essentially who decides who gets the sponsorship deals and who we're working with. So then when I am that person for somebody else, I know what they expect. So then I can deliver I think I can deliver at a really high level, because I know what's expected and they don't need to tell me. So between me and Park Lane and Chris, there's nothing that's expected from me. I just do what I do, and that's it, and it used to work. So we don't need to sit down and write, okay, this is what we expect from you. I already know what to do, and I think it's more natural that way as well, rather than being forced into doing something. I probably wouldn't do it if it was like there was requirements, because then that goes against my morality, if that makes sense. I want to be completely honest in the reviews and everything that I'm giving.
And I think that's really important. I have people that come to me and say, I want you to do this, and you need to do this, and this, and we'll pay you this. And unless it's something that interests me and I'm passionate about, then quite often I turn it down.
Yeah.
Because it's you need to be for you to social media is a democracy. All of your followers tomorrow can decide not to follow you.
Yes.
So in a way, they wake up in the morning and vote to follow you every day.
Yes.
And if you start saying things which they don't agree with or are perceived not to be true, so if you say, I think this is really important, and they all go, no, it's not, it's shit, then you'll lose followers.
Yeah.
So you have to. For me, it's about my followers need to understand that I have a belief system, and that belief system is if I post something, then I believe in it.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's an important thing about influencer marketing at the moment, is that I think people are getting kind of sensitized to that whole thing about somebody having a huge following and just posting something up that doesn't seem authentic. And I think now that's why the following the person has to believe that they actually like that product. So it's not just good enough to hold a product, say, oh look, I'm using this. You literally have to believe it. And when I'm working with other people, I won't do it for money. I have to really like that product. Otherwise I'll just refuse it.
Yeah.
And with BMW and Park Lane, it makes sense because I'm a BMW guy myself. I've owned loads of them over the years, and I still do. And Park Lane is one of the best dealerships in the UK. So
yeah. So we've covered social selling, collaborations, influencer marketing. One of the things that we're talking about is around network.
Yes.
And you talked about network as being important. What is it that's network that's important to you?
So when I say network, it's the people, the network of people I've built over the years who help in every single process of my business, from designing the product, from testing the product, to manufacturing it, and then to selling it and marketing it. So we've got really good we've got internal designers and we have external designers. The things we can't do internally, I've always had no issues in trying to outsource that to somebody else, because if they're better at us than doing it, they can do it. And then the same with a lot of the manufacturing. We normally try and do all the assembly in-house ourselves to try and have complete control of the quality, which works really well. And then you have to then sell the product. So then you need people in your network who are good at marketing and selling it, and also then our distributors across the world. And now we've kind of set that up in terms of the network, which is managed by pure personal relationships. I do fly around a lot. I meet all of these people in real life. So as good as it is to have people online and have an online network, I really, truly believe in having that face-to-face contact with people, because I think it's invaluable to go and spend some time and have a meal with somebody. You really strengthen that relationship. Yeah. And then you can do online because you've met that person in real life, and you probably I see all my main distributors at least once a year. And then when you're online, it seems much more natural, and it's just a much stronger bond. And then once I've had that network set up, now we've created another 3 brands that we sell basically a different type of product to the same customers. So all of our brands are automotive related. We started off with doing ECU software and performance parts. Then we started making air intakes and then wheels. And now I'm just launching a new product, which is the carbon fiber aero styling for cars. And we're selling to all my customers are the same. I sell to the same distributors, and then they sell to the same dealers. So it works really well. But I think that's the whole range for me covered now.
And I think sometimes people think that with social, that it's not that your network is all on social, but actually the network is you're still looking for face-to-face meetings or in the current situation, you know, having conference calls or video calls like this. And you know, there's still a place for the face-to-face discussion.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think online is enough, and I think if somebody's got a relationship with somebody online, and you have the online and offline relationship, your relationship is stronger.
Stronger, yeah.
Yes, and then you're always in that position of, you know, you have an advantageous position over somebody else who doesn't necessarily do that.
The other thing that you talked about, the final piece is about content. You originally called it in our prep call media.
Yes.
But you talk us through and give us an example about what you mean by good content and media, because you know, and what does it mean to your customers, and what does it mean to you? Yeah.
So when I say media or content marketing is the correct term. So our content is, so on YouTube, for example, we will talk about a new product that we're releasing, but we will show the product, we'll show how it's better than the stock, then we will fit it to the car, then we will give our impressions before and after, and then we'll put that out, and we won't talk about pricing, we won't talk about, oh, it's available now, you can buy it. Literally, we're just providing information in as neutral way as I possibly can, and that's content. We're not actively selling it. We're not telling people you need to go and buy this, it costs X amount of money. And it's amazing that we can make a piece of content that is effectively selling our product without selling it, and people are watching it themselves. We're not promoting this on YouTube at all. We're not paying for it to be shown. And then some of the videos are getting, you know, like 200,000-300,000 views. So that's that many customers that have seen effectively your content, which is not an advert, but it is, and then they're influenced to buy it.
Well, I you know, this is a great example of piece of content. You know, we're not talking about your company or my company, and we're not saying, because an advert is isn't my company wonderful, and nobody believes that anymore. But the fact of the matter is, if somebody has watched this 22 minutes in, they probably will have actually already, while they're watching the video, Googled you or gone to your YouTube channel, because you've already told people what that is. And there's like a dual conversation going on with them. They're watching this and they're probably looking at your content as well.
Correct. And with these days, it's completely transparent. So you can't say anymore as a marketer or salesperson that your product is the best, because somebody can just go and Google it and see what your reviews are. So someone could Google my company and have a look at what my reviews are on Google and Facebook, and they're like 4.6, 4.7. So which is pretty high, right? So it's not just me saying our product is good, that you can literally see, okay, what are other people saying, and you get an instant snapshot. So I think that's, in terms of content, your content has to be accurate and true as well. So I think these days, not only does your marketing have to be good, but your product has to be good as well. You can't just rely on good marketing anymore. And
what sort of content are you doing? What are you creating?
So we create mainly videos now. So when we were doing forums, we were doing written blogs, and it was all like quite technical. And so effectively what we were doing before, we are now making into videos. And even to the point that some of our older products that I had written blogs for, I turned them into videos.
Right.
So I said, okay, this is what we've written. I want to actually just purvey this on video now and release it onto YouTube. So we repurposed a lot of the old content and made it into video format, because that's what people like to consume these days.
Yeah, that's been fantastic. So we've covered network, social selling, influencer marketing, media, good content, and collaborations.
Yes.
What a fantastic story, Imran. I mean, you know, going from being a lawyer to creating your own business.
Yeah. Oh, just one thing on the collaborations I can probably add, which we haven't done, is that I have 4 different brands, which basically provide 4 different types of products.
Yeah.
And each of those is, apart from the first one, which is the tuning and performance one, each of the other 3 our collaborations with people. So the intake brand, which is called Even Churi, we won the Queen's Award for Enterprise for last year for international trade. So I actually got to go to Buckingham Palace because of turning my passion into a business. That's a collaboration between me and the designer. So the
Queen has your products on her
on her cars, on her Bentley,
on a Land Rover, yeah.
Well, we do have the Queen symbol on our products, which is quite cool. So he's the designer. He's the one who's with all the technical knowledge in terms of actually designing that product, and I'm the person who can get it to market. And that's a really good collaboration. That whole business is a collaboration between both of us, because he recognizes that he's got a good product, but he also recognizes that he needs to get it into the marketplace. And when we talk, that's what it was literally about. Because I've got really good product, you can get it into the marketplace. Let's do something together.
Why not?
I think the world is changing in terms of you can't do everything yourself.
No.
And if you can do it with people who are like-minded and you have the proper framework in place, you can grow exponentially by joining forces with other people.
And that's a great example of collaboration, where you've taken a strength and a weakness and you've turned it into a strength.
Yes, correct. Because I'm not the most technical person, but I understand enough to understand the product to then sell it. And I'm not intending on trying to do a PhD in aeronautical engineering like he has. I don't need to go to that level. I know what my strengths are and I know what I'm good at, and I'll go to those.
That's been fantastic, Imran. It's been so insightful, and I'm so excited for you in the way that you've been able to take your passion and turn it into a business. And it's a great example, I think, to everybody, in terms of anybody who's starting out, to look at this and to believe in themselves and give it a go. Because the last thing that you would want is to be, sitting in your 60s with a pipe and slippers and going, if only I'd just done that.
Yeah. I think at that's the only thing you can regret, is not actually doing it.
Yeah.
Just go out and do it. Yeah, it takes a lot of guts, but if you don't do it, as you said, when you're 65, can you look at yourself in the mirror and say, I didn't give it a go?
So remind everybody again where they can find you. So your LinkedIn, your YouTube, and your Instagram.
Yes, so LinkedIn is my name, Imran Arshad. My Instagram, my personal one, it's imran.evolve. And then it's at Evolve Automotive for the work Instagram. And my YouTube is Evolve Automotive. Perfect.
Thank you, Imran. It's been amazing talking to you. It is such an exciting journey. And I don't need to wish you luck, because
no, I think
you make it. Come on, you make it.
Everybody needs luck right now, I think. But thank you very much for having me on. It's been
no, you're welcome. And certainly, in the current climate, we all need a bit of help, and I agree, we do need a bit of luck. So I do wish you luck, because right now it's going to be hard for everybody.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for everybody.
Yeah, great. Cool. Thanks, Imran. Good to talk.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.